Good morning. How are you all today? Welcome to Integrative Preparedness. So Sunday, Christopher Deep State Ray went on 60 Minutes and warned that China has infiltrated most, if not all, of our critical infrastructure systems, water treatment plants, energy sector, the grid. He didn't say this, but I'm sure banking systems, everything like that. In addition to collecting, personal information on Americans for years, that's what they were warning us about. Remember the thing with TikTok? They wanted to get you all afraid of TikTok. They centered everybody's fear on TikTok to keep everybody's attention off of the fact that they were essentially allowing China to insert itself into our critical systems and lie in wait, just waiting for the day that they want to shut down the grid or interrupt water supply or whatever like that. You understand how all this can work. I'm going to talk more about TikTok in a minute. What this means essentially is that, of course, we are at the mercy of an enemy. And make no mistake, China is an enemy. They've also been trying to get us, all afraid of Russia, which is not near the threat that China is, while allowing China, because China is the good friend of, the Bidens and all of them, all of the deep state. All of the deep state love China. Did you know that? Yeah, they do. Did you know that half of the CIA is just more liberal than you could imagine? And many citing right up against that post of communism itself. They come out of the Ivy League schools. They're recruited like this. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And I'm not exaggerating when I say probably half. And it's not anything new. It's been like this for decades. Yeah, it's been like this actually since the CIA was formed, and and actually some of its predecessor, the OSS. Let me take a drink and we'll continue because there is a lot to be concerned about here. We'll see what he can do about it. Of course, you understand what the danger is. Uh, the big danger is, yes, they could shut down um, the grid, the water systems, whatever. Will they? I doubt that they will do that. But here's the thing: don't rest easy. They wouldn't do that. They don't want to destroy the entire country because they need us as their customer base. Okay, they sell us their junk and their good stuff. I mean, look around your house. I don't know about you, but I look around my house. If I looked at where stuff was made, it'd be China, 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 China. That's, is that their fault? Don't get mad at them. We exported as a result of our tax code. We pretty much forced American manufacturing out of the United States and into areas like China, and so they scooped it up. That's because they are pro-China, to where we are not necessarily pro-America. Now, you and I are, right? But our government isn't. Many people in the government aren't. They are pro themselves. They take their kickbacks. They will, they'll have a good buddy who runs a manufacturing or some kind of company and says, man, I need to I need to lower my my production costs, and I can do it a lot cheaper in China. Can you give me a waiver on such and such? Oh yeah, and thank you for the donation. This is the way the world works, right? Now, would they shut down everything? No, they don't want to shut us down. They want to control us, and by being inserted into our critical systems, they will be able to control us. Um, let me throw in TikTok here before I continue that, because I think if I add that on the end, it might get lost in the shuffle, and it's very important. You know how they've been pushing shutting down TikTok. right? I know probably a lot of you are against TikTok because you've heard that it's Chinese intelligence information and all, like that. Um, well, I used to feel that same way. And, give me a listen here. Think about what I say. Don't just go, well, I'm against TikTok. See, that's how they control you. Uh, I felt like that because I hadn't really looked into it. You know me, I'm not technologically uh, sophisticated. And so I had heard all this stuff about TikTok being, Chinese intelligence gathering, and so I stayed away from it. I mean, it's all I can do to keep up with YouTube, right? Well, some years ago, I uh, I was in a group. I still am. There was a group of us who just share things, right, on in our messaging. And one of the guys was putting up a lot of stuff from TikTok, and I would never open it because I've heard they're Chinese, intelligence, and I would never open it. But the thing was, this guy was a super patriot. I mean, by that I mean American patriot, veteran, uh, very sharp guy. And I'm wondering, why is he sending TikTok? Well, one day I opened one of his, and I found some information that I said, whoa, that's exactly right. I don't remember what it was. Doesn't matter what it was. What matters is, yeah, it was right. It was good information. I started opening it. Now, how do I know it was good information? Because I measure it against either my own experience or other things that I'm able to glean, through the world. Open source. Uh, and so I started opening more of his messages. And darned if they weren't all right. And then I got to thinking about, now, who's trying to get us to shut down TikTok? Well, it's our government, right? Why does our government want to shut down TikTok? Well, let me throw in something else here on the TikTok layered cake. I think I mentioned to you all before the upcoming the last election. I talked quite a bit with my oldest son, who's a senior in high school. And I was amazed at how much he knew about politics and how conservative he was. Now, I figured, or I had hoped, that he would be conservative. You never know. You teach your kids, you talk about stuff, you hope that they're absorbing it, you hope that they're understanding it and agreeing with it, but you can't, you're not sure until, you see the fruits. And so I had hoped that he was very conservative. Well, the more we got to talking, I realized by his reasoning and the way he was able to explain things, darn if he wasn't. But not only that, he said that all of his friends were too. I mean, last year he wanted, as a birthday present, a Trump 2024 flag to put in his room. I said, really? That's kind of odd. He says, all my friends have them. I said, where do you all get? He would say a number of other things that surprised me of how educated many of the younger people are about things in the world. I said, where did you get all this? I mean, this is more than I've told you. He says, TikTok. TikTok. Now, the things he was gleaning from TikTok were true, and they were right, and they were conservative. Why did our government want to ban TikTok? Ask yourself that. Are you all familiar with Radio Free Europe? Okay, we've done this all over the world by trying to get the truth into the Eastern Bloc, right? And it opened a lot of people's eyes to the lies they were being told by the current Soviet Union. Have we ever been told lies by our government? Ask yourself that. Maybe a better question would be, have we ever been told the truth by our government? That'd be a much shorter list, wouldn't it? The old saying, they treat us like mushrooms, they keep us in the dark and feed us, what, right? Well, that's right. So this big push for TikTok, and this was what the FBI, they were warning about this. Oh, we got to outlaw TikTok because they are a Chinese intelligence collection apparatus, and they could have inserted providing the truth to American citizens. Now, am I defending China? I am not at all. China is an enemy. It's an economic enemy. You see, the reason that I say that is because they view economics as a war. Okay, just like the Japanese did. They view it, but they need us, and since we've transferred all of our manufacturing pretty much over there, we need them too. Sadly, we shouldn't need another country. We should not. America used to do everything itself, and be the provider to the world. Now we are the consumer more than we are the producer, and that's sad. But anyway, so China, yeah, it is a strategic enemy, whereas Russia is not. Uh, so then, why am I defending something, a so-called intelligence collection apparatus, from a so-called enemy? I'm not. What I'm saying is that it's being used. It has been used by an internal enemy, our own intelligence services, including the FBI. You know, a lot of people, and I've said this before, a lot of people are under the misguided notion that the FBI is a law enforcement organization. It's not. They're an intelligence organization. They are an internal intelligence organization with investigative arrest powers. Okay, but that's what they are. And it's interesting what they put their time into and what they don't put their time into. And what they put their time into is any way to control the American people. We will see what happens with the new administration. I was just watching Pete Hegseth's confirmation hearing, and it was disrupted several times by morons, dressed in pink and overweight. Not all of them were, but numerous times. We see what's happening. We see. I'm not going to talk about this too much here. I'll make a separate on that one. But we see now, as the new administration's coming in, there is going to be an internal battle. The fight is going to continue internally. Okay, it's going to be a domestic war, whatever form that takes. But their purpose, the agency that was charged with protecting the security of the homeland. This is before Homeland Security was the FBI. They were supposed to work against spies. They were supposed to work against, keep America safe. Well, if you look back in history, you'll see that they've always done a very poor job at that. But they've been able until recently to kind of maintain their sterling reputation, which ever since when I worked with them in the 70s, I knew was a bunch of crap. So they wanted to distract us, you, from what China was doing, infiltrating and inserting itself into our critical systems by holding up over here, ooh, be scared of TikTok, be scared of TikTok. Now, the question is, were they not good enough? Were they simply not good enough to stop China? Probably. That's probably one of the areas, and that's pretty sad. But they're just not all that good, to be honest. I know that's a shock to people, but like I said, ever since I worked with them, no, I stopped being impressed with them pretty quick. So maybe they simply weren't good enough to stop China from doing that. The other alternative would be they knew they were doing it and allowed them to do it, which means they helped them do it. So was our so-called premier law enforcement agency involved in the purposeful insinuation of foreign intelligence into our country? Possible. Very possibly. Which of those two is better, that they were too stupid and too inept, or were they actively aided and abetted it? I don't know. You decide on that. Here's the problem: that since he has finally come out and admitted it, why did he admit it? Well, probably so when the next FBI director comes in and discovers all this, Ray will be able to say, "Well, I told you," right? But But on his way out the door, he says, "Yep, China's in all of our systems, all of our critical systems, just laying in wait for the proper moment to initiate an attack." When is that moment going to be? We don't know. Could it be something a little bit before the election? Could it be after the election? Could it be once Trump gets in and she says, "Hey, by the way, I'm in all your systems, and we gotta make nice here, and be friends, and which means you do what I want you to, or we're shutting down part of your grid." Now, will Trump stand up to that? I don't know. He's a tough guy. He stood up to a lot of things. I know we have a lot of Trump detractors out there. Most of them are fairly, have a fairly limited knowledge of Trump, really. They don't know much about him. But could Trump stand up against that? I don't know. Now, what shape is our own intelligence apparatus in? Are we? What shape is our cyber warfare apparatus in? Now, we're told that they're the best in the world. Are they? If they were the best in the world, how could it be that China is now in all of our vital systems? I don't know. You answer that. Here's what I think could possibly happen. That for whatever that is that China decides, is time to send a message to the United States. They can say, they can give a call. I've made videos of recently and in the past, most of them on Patreon, about the IRA, Irish Republican Army. And one of the ways that they established their credibility with the British authorities is that they would call ahead. They arranged a secret word that they would use when they're calling the security services over in Ireland, and say, here's a word. We've established that it is us. We are going to attack such and such at such a time. It could be a whatever. It could be an economic target. It could be a barracks. It could be any number of things. And we are going to attack. And the reason they would do this, and this will surprise many people, they would say, get non-combatants out of there. So they give the call to the security service. They give their code word verifying it's them. They say, we're going to attack this here. Get innocents out of there. And the reason they did that is because the IRA did not want to kill non-combatants. Their war was against the security services in Great Britain. And very often, so the security services would know, okay, it is the IRA calling on this, and we know that they do what they say they're going to do. And so now we have a choice to either get people out of there or not. And you know something? Sometimes they didn't. Did you know that? Oh, yeah. Why wouldn't they do that? Because they wanted civilian casualties in order to drum up hatred against the Irish Republican movement, which is a unification of an all-island Ireland out from underneath the oppression of the British in Northern Ireland. That's why they would do it. Sometimes they would announce and get people out. Sometimes they wouldn't. And if well, I won't go into that. That's probably something for the Patreon side. So she calls up Trump, and he says, well, we you're not going to put tariffs on us, and blah, 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 and here's what we want, and whatever. And Trump says, not screw you. And she says, well, screw me, right? I don't know. Screw you. Tell you what, we are going to take down the grid in, take your pick, Chicago, Atlanta, Washington, D.C., New York City. We're going to take down the grid. And what's Trump going to say? Is he going to pull a Biden and go, don't, just don't? And then so she gives the word and says, there we go. Let me put you, well, no, my son's coming in just a second, and he had a special thing this morning. So let me put you on pause here for just, well, I'll continue this and then I'll put you on pause. Oh, here he comes. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. My son is running kind of late. He just got, so I'm back with you. I'll talk to him later. He's in a special law program, and they visited the Overland Park, Kansas Police Department today. They were going to meet with the chief, but she had it's a new woman chief. They had a bomb threat, I guess she had to go to. And so they went through a lot of other things. He learned all about their infrared drone program and all that. Interesting stuff. I'm glad that our young people are learning about all of this. You should be aware of everything that's going on around you too in your local law enforcement. So anyway, so she says, well, okay, so screw me, screw you. I says it's about 2:00 in the morning. Be ready for everything to go down. Maybe they'll do it at a different time. Maybe they'll do it in rush hour. And so they send their little signal through, and bloop, grid is down. Grid is down in New York City. Think about that. Atlanta. It doesn't matter. Chicago. I would say L.A., but they've already taken care of L.A., right? And then what? And he says, okay, we're going to turn it back on after 3 days. You imagine the hell that would happen in one of those major cities in 3 days with the grid down? And it's not a matter of getting linemen out there to fix it, right? It's not. They're not fixing this stuff. It is a computer problem. If our cyber people weren't good enough to keep them out of the system to begin with, do you think they're good enough to get the system back online? Maybe they don't do one. Maybe they say, hey, we're going to shut it down in every state capital. How about that at the same time? Bloop. Out. We'll leave it off for 1 day. During that time, we'll be sending messages to all of your legislators and governors and senators and everything in the world and saying, hey, greetings from China. Think you want to play hardball? Well, enjoy your next 24 hours in the dark. And we'll be waiting for your call when the lights come back on tomorrow. And then it's just a matter of, if we don't do, I mean, this is just hardcore negotiation, right? Let's start with the stick, and then we can then we can offer the carrot. Okay, now we're waiting for all the good news you have to share with us. Oh, no tariffs? Great. Oh, you're going to increase sending us money? Good, great. You're going to finance more of our biolabs? Oh, excellent. You're going to send Fauci over? Great. We knew that we could get along. Realize that this is what could happen. And if they are in our critical infrastructure, they are in our life support system. How would you imagine yourself in a hospital. You're in the ICU, intensive care unit, and you're hooked up to a machine that is keeping you alive. And all that's keeping that machine going is the plug that's into the wall. And there's a person sitting in that chair who doesn't like you at all. And they're sitting right next to the plug. And they keep fiddling with that plug and looking at you. That's the situation we are in now, if we don't get things fixed. Am I very hopeful that we're going to get things fixed? I won't say that I'm hopeful. It would be nice. But just think what would happen if China wants to send us a message. And prepare for that. You were waiting, right? You were waiting. What's the point of all this, Steve? Instead of just scaring us to death. No, it's trying to let you know what's going on. And most of you do. Most of you do. Maybe not most. Maybe a lot of you do. A lot of you don't. A lot of you haven't thought about this. This is why being self-sufficient is so important. This is why preparedness is so important. Regardless of what happens with the big scaries that everybody wants to talk about, this is a potential reality. Hang on, I'm going to say goodbye to my son. So this is a possibility. Get ready if you're not ready. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm saying it could happen. And if it could happen, you need to be prepared for it. Okay? I didn't bring my books over here, but if you want to know how to prepare for it, the Stonemont series is the best way I know. It's 7 books that I wrote detailing the best on how to prepare for, how to survive, and how to rebuild after a complete collapse of everything. You can get them through Amazon or through me. Both links are down below. Amazon gets them to you quickly. I get them to you more slowly, but I get to sign them for you through our website, stonemont.us. You can also get our mugs and things like that. Think about this, and think about whether you want to trust your future and the future of your kids and grandkids to the good feelings and well wishes of China. All right? You all have a good day. Remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. And I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.